Anderson, and I'm here with Visual Dynasty's Behind the Scenes. Tonight's conversation is going to be a little bit more than just about business. It's going to be about faith, calling, and all the responsibility that comes with vision. We live in a time where success is often measured by likes, reviews, and revenue. I'm joined here today by Darnell G McKenzie. He's owner, operator, and Black entrepreneur. Hi, Darnell.
You know.
So, before we get started, I have a surprise for you. Got shirts made for you.
Okay.
There you are.
Wow.
We have merchandise made. This is for when you're ready to have your tea. We all know that you like tea. So you have the front and the back. Thank you to Katrina from BU Every Day. She supplied the merchandise for us. I'll just put this over here.
Okay. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. So before we dive deep into all of the information, I heard that last year you won a really prestigious award. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, we won Best Podcast at the Raleigh Film Festival, Raleigh Arts and Film Festival. This was our second, well, we actually entered the Raleigh Film Festival 3 times. The first time we actually had 2 films entered into it. We didn't win anything that year and everything, but the experience was very good. It made my team hungry and everything, and we learned a lot from other people at the film festival and stuff like that. The second year that we entered, we didn't get any acceptance into it, and we kind of like went kind of like on a hiatus of actually shooting films and everything. We didn't have anything in the works and stuff like that. So in the past, I did podcasts, and I felt like podcast is also a way to kind of like sharpen our skills and everything, as well as show our knowledge as far as to the public and everything, as far as interviewing entrepreneurs, and also we also did a couple like movie reviews and everything. So that kind of like showed how our perspectives on movies and everything. So when Raleigh Arts Film Festival opened up a podcast category, we felt, let's enter that and everything, because we had a year underneath our belt. The podcast episode that we actually put in there was the one that we interviewed Rotor Generations owner Jasmine Brown. She's doing a lot for the Durham community as far as with young girls and everything, mentoring them. She's also in Charlotte, so we felt like that would be a strong interview to actually enter into the Raleigh Film Festival. And yeah, we won, and it was a great feeling. I couldn't do enough without my team and everything. I'm very blessed that we all came together. I guess we might talk about that a little bit later, but I always say everything happens for a reason, and I'm very blessed with the team that has come together.
So before we get into all the questions that I have here, I want to know personally, why are you not in any of the films anymore? Why are you taking a back seat?
It was always something I always wanted to do since I started my company. My company was Quarantine Enterprise, and I had a podcast called Quarantine Radio. I had not to knock my team back then or anything, but my whole original plan back then was to take a back seat, kind of like groom my team back then to actually build up to just be like kind of like, I didn't want to be the face of the company, I guess you can say. I just wanted to be the person and kind of delegate, because I feel like when you're able to delegate and duplicate yourself in other people, it takes less stress off you. And with everybody having their own responsibility, it makes everything more efficient and productive with the business and stuff like that. So the team that I have now, I trust them enough where I don't have to micromanage and I don't have to be that person in front of the camera and be behind the camera. Like me being behind in front of the camera right now is because I was able to mentor someone enough where I trust them to be behind the camera and have productions running smoothly and everything. So that's it's always been my goal because I actually said this when I was on quarantine radio. I feel like some of the most successful people are the people that you don't even know that run the business, but you have people in front where they're the famous people, but they're not making as much money and stuff like that. But they were able to duplicate themselves to actually have people in front and be that brand and stuff like that. So I wanted to be able to duplicate myself. But the other thing about Visual Dynasty is I don't want my people to always be underneath me. I want it to the point where I duplicate myself, that they build their own brand and they can like branch off and everything. I probably said more than what you asked and everything, but it just came to my mind and stuff like that. But like they know that, like I told them all the time, Visual Dynasty is a umbrella, but you guys are your own brand. And I want you guys to be able to branch off sooner or later where you're building your own business, but I was just a starting point.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. So I know you're very strong in your faith. So I want to know about how your faith has shaped the way that you define your success.
One of the things with Visual Dynasty, and everybody on my team knows, this is a faith-based company and everything. All our short films are faith-based and everything. I felt like God brought us together. Like my biggest phrase is everything happens for a reason. And the way that this team was formed and everything, I really feel God brought us all together. But the only thing I can say is that I feel the spark with this company was when I realized how to serve. I served in the ministry at one church on their media team, and that's actually where I learned how to delegate. Before, it was just me and my brother doing stuff. But while serving at that church, and I saw the head of production, how they actually did stuff, and people started trickling in. Most people that trickled into my business saw my faith and everything, and that's kind of like what drew them in. So that's also a reason, like I kind of say it's faith-based, because like that's what actually brought them into my company and stuff like that. But learning how to serve helped me be able to be the person I am and branch out my business and everything. I believe I answered your question, but yeah, that's one of the strong points and everything.
Okay. Well, with actually being such a faith-based company, you've seen scripture play out.
That's an interesting question. 'Cause I was going to talk about the scriptures that I put in my actual scripts and everything, but actually, yeah,
On your business journey as well, not only in your films.
So there's a lot of scriptures that I probably can pull from. I can say the first one, Elijah and the widow. I always talk to people about this, about like how I perceive that situation. The widow was ready to die. She felt like what she had was just enough for a couple of days for her and her son. God sent Elijah into her life, and what he had was enough to multiply what she had put together to have them serve food for many days and stuff like that. what me and my brother was doing was good for the time being, as far as we were doing commercials and music videos and stuff like that. By the time the rest of my team came in, we were able to produce short films and have a bigger group of people that we could because one of the things I see online, especially like when people are about to produce a short film or movie, they always are searching for people to be behind the scenes. We have an advantage that we already have those people. We could use more to be to divvy out other responsibilities, because we need like a grip person, a lighting person, someone to actually do the sound, because some of us multitask in that and stuff like that. But what we have, everybody is well versatile in doing that. Trying to think of another scripture where I can actually see I see play out with us and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the biggest one. And that's also why I'm always big on everything happens for a reason, because of that story. Because if it wasn't for Elijah crossing paths with that widow and God actually putting him, sending him on that direction, no telling like how long that widow and stuff like that would have been there.
I was going to ask what biblical principle you use, but I'm guessing this is the one that you fall on most.
Yeah, and also with Jacob, the dreamer, you see everything that I can also probably say that because like my brother knows a lot about like when we started doing stuff. Like I was going through a lot. I said one time in another interview, like I don't know if it was healthy what I was doing, because like to get out of my funk, I was actually drowning myself in work and everything. The way I see Jacob, the dreamer, he went through a lot, but he still had faith in God no matter what he was going through. During that time period, like a lot of stuff was heavy on me. It was the time that I decided to read the whole Bible, because I can say that it's kind of like the situation with Samuel when he didn't know if he was hearing God's voice and stuff like that. Like I felt like I heard God's voice in a situation, and when things didn't pan out, I was like, was I really hearing God's voice? So that situation pushed me to actually read the whole Bible so I could understand what God was actually saying and stuff like that, and distinguish his voice from other things and stuff like that.
Did you want to elaborate on the situation?
No.
Okay.
I touched up on that. If y'all go back and watch the podcast with me and my brother, you'll probably see I kind of hesitate to answer that question too, but you probably will pull from that. But yeah, with this one, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to go too much into that.
That's fair. Okay. So we're going to take a different route. With you being a Black business owner in a creative space, what does true ownership mean to you? With, just not being your name, but having, being an owner of a company.
Sometimes I don't actually look at myself as a business owner and everything. Most times, like with the scripts and everything, it's a different way to spread the word or bring more people to God's kingdom and stuff like that. Also, I don't want to say like I'm a teacher, but I try to teach my team different aspect of the production world and everything, to the point I think I mentioned about the other church and everything. The other church actually sometimes reach out to me to help train people on the production side and everything. So that was actually a door God opened up for me as well. It's like I tell, like most of the time I tell people the way that I came in contact with that church was I fought going to that church a couple of times and everything, but like when I actually look back, it had a purpose because like I don't know if I would be in the situation I am now if I didn't go to that church. Because like I said, I learned how to serve. I learned how to delegate responsibility. One thing my cousin Chris will tell you is that I used to have a one-man dynasty mind frame. I would do everything myself. I didn't want to delegate stuff. And as I was saying before, that drained me and made me not even want to do it no more. But being able to build a team, people to trust me, it actually helped me into the be able to do what I'm doing now and everything.
So you're answering a lot of questions within a question.
Oh, my bad.
One of my questions was going to be, how do you navigate the stewardship as well within your business? So that kind of answers a little bit of both. Okay, so my next question is going to be about your legacy. What legacy do you want to leave, not only with your business, but personally?
Legacy, that's actually another Bible scripture. There's a Bible scripture that talks about leaving a legacy where your kids' and kids kind of eat off of stuff like that. There are some times where I kind of doubt whether or not I will have kids, but I also look at my brother as far as being able to pass down, even if he doesn't want to do production and stuff like that. Because like I honestly feel like during that time period, me and my brother was kind of like bonding. I don't know if this is something that he loved to do or he was just trying to do something and bond with his big brother and stuff like that. We didn't grow up together and stuff like that, but if anything, I can probably instill some of this where he will be able to kind of like build his own thing and pass down to his generation and language and stuff like that. That would be my legacy, even if I'm not passing down to my kids. But it's not always about wealth. It's also about knowledge and stuff like that. And that's something that I try to stress as well. Cause like, even though I talk about like leaving something where your kids, their kids can build off and stuff like that, knowledge is key to that success as well. So I feel like my legacy is like something that can be passed down, because like there's a lot of people in the world where they started something where generations further down is still living off of that. And that's something that I want to be able to establish and stuff like that. I come from two parents that were Jamaicans coming over to America, where they didn't know too much, where they weren't able to instill certain stuff. Me and my cousin talk about this a lot, and especially like I can say about especially with Black people and everything. We don't learn finances and everything, and like my family wasn't able to actually teach it because like they were learning along the way and stuff like that. So I want to be able to instill certain things that my parents weren't able to tell me or pass down to me as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
you're answering a lot of questions at once.
But yeah, is mainly I want my legacy to be able to live on for generations and stuff like that.
While we're talking about legacy, we'd like to know what, producer, director do you look up to the most?
I was asked that one time, and I honestly realized there are a lot of movies and everything that I watched and loved. And even though like I always would look at the credits and stuff like that, I never actually paid attention when I was younger to who produced what and who was the director of what. It wasn't until like recently that I started paying attention to that. But there's a lot of movies where I found out that the films and the way certain was structured and written and everything was by the same person. But being on the side of the camera and everything, when I watch movies, I can pick on certain things and know directions, especially like why certain shots were done, the extras, how they are making everything look as reality as much as possible. But yeah, so sadly I can't actually answer that question, 'cause like I used to. I'm kind of ashamed to say that, but I used to not actually pay attention to who was directing this and who was producing
It's really
that.
surprising.
Yeah. Because I think it was at some networking event and they asked that question and I was like, I never thought about that. Like I know what movies I like and everything, but like I just never thought about who was directing, who was producing this stuff.
Are you interested in just doing short films, or are you interested in joining the big screen?
We're actually working. Well, I'm actually working on finishing my first feature film script and everything. This will actually be. It's called Men's Retreat. It's going to focus on the men in the church finding themselves. Some that were heartbroken. One is actually going to be tied to one of the characters in another short film that I did. You'll see, it's kind of like a prequel to that one, because you'll see, if you've seen the film No Regrets, you will actually see Jacob right after the breakup of the girl that was in that film and everything. So the pastor of the church realized that the men of the church are going through, I guess, mental health and also not actually serving as men of the church. So he gets them to commit to a weekend in a cabin in the woods and stuff like that. And he's going to kind of like bring them for brotherhood and everything. I got the idea because I always felt like that might have been something that I was missing in my life and stuff like that. Kind of like having male mentors and everything. It might have been because like I was always in and out of the church when I was younger. That's why I also say that I probably didn't fully grasp on everything at the church and stuff like that until like I was feeling like I said, I wasn't hearing God. So I made a point to actually be in his presence more and stuff like that. And just being, seeing how some of the men actually come together and stuff like that, it made me feel like this is a missing aspect. And then I saw a show where they had kind of like a safe space for men and stuff like that. And I feel like that is also something that's missing within the men community, because like we are sometimes told that we can't cry, we're not supposed to show emotions and stuff like that. And sometimes that kind of like piles up a lot on us and everything. But reading the Bible, I was able to see a lot of characteristics that we're supposed to have that's supposed to actually help us with certain stuff like that. So this feature film that I'm actually working on is actually going to touch on that. I am, I think, 40 pages in, and a feature film is usually an hour and 30 minutes. And if you know anything about writing script, one page is a minute. So I have to write at least 140 pages, which is not something I haven't done, because like I wrote a whole web series before with 10 episodes. It's a different format and everything, but I know exactly what I want to do. And then I actually, from reading, recently reading the Bible and everything, I know what scriptures I want to touch on. I just got to build a story around it. So that's what I'm actually working on, is knowing where the middle and knowing where the end, but kind of like getting that feeling in there and stuff like that.
Well, do you draw inspiration from any other places?
Life too. Some of my short films, I'm not gonna name which ones. Certain things.
Please elaborate.
Some of the stuff that in the film actually happened or was something that I expanded on what happened in my life and stuff like that. So I kind of pulled from that and also put in there lessons that maybe I wish somebody had told me, or what I grasped from the Bible from the situation that I was in and everything.
Was no regrets one of these?
I don't want to.
It's a secret. I won't tell anybody.
Well, the camera's on, so.
Okay.
No regret had some pulls from certain people from my life.
I watched it personally, so I just like to know.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to know: are you a hopeless romantic?
I didn't realize until somebody actually said that to me that all my films were about love. One of my friends, my good friend, he's a big supporter. Also from the last church I went to, TJ Sawyer. He told me that his wife asked him, when is Darnell going to do something that doesn't have to do with love? And it was crazy because I was telling my brother, I want to do a romantic film. And the whole time, everybody's been thinking that's all I do.
That's all you do.
And I was like, it doesn't really touch on like how I see it as a romantic film, but everybody's seeing all that I'm doing is just love. So in a way, I guess you can say I'm a hopeless romantic. Like, I've been watching rom-coms from a young age and stuff like that. And
why is that?
I don't know, I just always kind of like grasped to it. Like my favorite movie of all time, like I always argue with this one, is Boomerang. That's my #1 favorite movie. Just the whole him turning his life around and then actually realizing the one that got away and how he messed that up, because like he was also in a place of just lust, and then this girl came into his life and showed him real love, and he almost messed that up, where to the point that he had to go back and show vulnerability to actually gain her back. Like my favorite scene in that, because I'm all about symbolism in movies and stuff like that. So my favorite scene has my favorite song, one of my favorite songs in there, PM Dawn, that I don't know, have a brain fault, and Die Without You. I don't know why I almost forgot the name. Die Without You is playing in the background. A bus comes by, and on the side of the bus, it says Epiphany. And at that moment, he has an epiphany about that girl. And then the next thing you see is him going to try to win her back and everything.
Is there one that got away for you?
I don't say that there's one that got away from me, because I always say the reason why I accept all my exes is because I learned from them. I feel like, and this is why I always tell people, like, if you really love somebody, you'll love them enough to see them happy with somebody else. I feel like, I don't know all their stories and everything, but the fact that from what I know, that they were able to find happiness with somebody else, the happiness I wasn't able to provide to them. I know I messed up a lot and everything, if that's what you're asking as far as got away. There was probably like one where I wasn't used to um, the type of relationship that she was providing and everything, and um, she felt like the relationship was one-sided, um, and that's why most of the times, like, I try to always communicate with the person I'm with and everything, and make sure that we're always on the same page and stuff like that, and it's not just kind of like I always talk about pouring into each other and stuff like that. I think I don't want to speak for her, but I think that the possibility during that time period, she felt like she was just pouring into me, and I wasn't doing the same for her and everything. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I would like to know if you can use your story to free someone, what aspect of your story would you tell them?
Story to free someone.
Yes, the story on how you became an entrepreneur, how you started your company, just your journey.
So what part of my story would I give someone?
What highlight would you use?
Um, I would always say, because I feel like this part of my life I probably learned too late, is serving and everything. I feel like it's very important to serve first. I feel like that was the life-changing part of my entrepreneurship, because like I feel like the reason everything kept on failing before that is because I kept on piling stuff. I wasn't focused on one thing. I was doing everything. But once I learned to serve others and see how other people were able to do things and make everything efficient and productive and everything, um, that helps. So when you serve somebody else and you see why they were successful, it helps you in your journey, I feel.
How do you navigate being a Black male in the industry?
Um, I feel because like I'm surrounded. 'Cause like I don't think I've like actually experienced outside, because like I'm in a lot of Black spaces mostly. So I really can't answer that question until like I get outside of the Black spaces and be able to navigate. I've just been privileged. It is and I'm not gonna say that's not a space that I want to, because like I feel like that would actually strengthen me more if I get outside the Black space and everything. I'm all about building the Black community and everything, but I feel like once you're able to adapt to the other spaces, you're able to build bigger and everything. Um, but yeah, I don't think I could answer that question as of right now, because I've been so, because like even like the film festival that we've been in. Well, there's been some overseas and everything, but we haven't actually been there. But like the film festival that we're in is dominantly Black owned and everything. Like so, like everything we've been attached to has been Black owned.
Well, predominantly Hollywood is not.
Yeah. So that is something that we will try to test the waters in the future and stuff like that. Especially like we're going to try to enter more film festivals that are not predominantly Black owned, to see exactly how we can actually, well, we actually have not to speak bad about it, but the Cary Film Festival has not, we've entered them probably like 3 times, and all 3 times they have not accepted our films and stuff like that. So I feel like it's because we need to polish, and I talk to them all the time. Like we have meetings, and I always talk about like what we need to work on, how we can get our quality up and stuff like that. If anything, that will probably get us in those spaces, is like once we sharpen our craft and get our quality up to the point where they are accepting us and stuff like that.
Well, does it have anything to do with funding? And how do you fund your films?
Right now, everything's on us. I don't do any GoFundMes or stuff like that. I feel like I want it to the point where we have proof of concept and somebody at a film festival sees us and say that they want to invest in us. So that's what I'm actually looking at and everything, is that we have proof of concept. You see what we can do. Excuse me. I would like to invest and see, I can see a return in investment in investing in y'all. Also, I don't know, like there's been a couple times that I've tried to get a grant and everything, and it hasn't panned out. We haven't won the grants and stuff like that. So I don't know, I have to get better at writing those grants and stuff like that. But that's another way that I've been trying to do it. But I want to get to the point where I can show somebody, hey, this is what we're doing. Would you like to invest in us? Not knocking any of the people that do the GoFundMes and everything, but I just want to be able to somebody see what we're doing and be like, I want to invest in you guys. That would show that we're on the right path, because they see it and they feel like they can get a return on investment in what we're doing, where we can branch out and stuff like that.
Well, with you and your crew financing everything, I want to know, have you turned down any, financially good opportunities? And
No.
why you turned them down?
No, I haven't turned down any. No, nobody as of yet has offered and stuff like that. But I will always be open to it.
Heard before that you've turned down some music videos.
Oh, yeah. So before, like, I would do anybody's music video and everything, but since I've gotten more closer to God and everything, like, I have to actually be able to be okay putting my name and our brand on that. Also, if I can't hear the song and see a script to it and write a script to it, I won't do those everything. Like if you go back and actually look at all the music videos I shot, they're all basically all silent films, basically, with a music video as the soundtrack and everything. Like I don't do any where the camera's just moving around and everything. It's everything scripted, has a storyline and everything in those music videos and stuff like that.
So it's never just about the money.
No, it's not. It's never about the money. Like, I have to be able to be okay with putting my name on it and stuff like that. So I guess with the investors and everything, like, I have to make sure that the investor is somebody that I'll be okay with aligning my name with them.
Okay. Well, Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit yourself to the Lord, and your plans will be established." With that being said, where do you think you will be in 10 years?
In 10 years, I am hoping that our production company is bigger, and some of our films have navigated people to God's kingdom and everything. I feel like that's the biggest thing that I want, is to have a message that can open up people's eyes, and because there's a lot that goes into the Christian world, and you have some people that aren't good representation of it, and like there's a lot of church TV shows that's very messy and everything, and I don't think represents God's kingdom in the right light and everything. So I want to be able to represent in the right light and actually let His light shine through me to the point where we built that production where people can actually see and actually come into the kingdom and everything.
Well, I have one last question. What does it take to be an extra in one of your films?
Um,
Talking
uh,
for myself.
well, all you have to do is when we put out those casting calls and everything, just email us and align with the scheduled dates and everything, and be open and coachable and everything. Because a lot of people, like me personally, I pay attention to the extras in movies, TV shows, and everything. How they make the scene more realistic and everything. So as long as you are coachable and everything, don't think that being an extra is anything small, because you actually create the atmosphere and stuff like that. So
You think I'd make it? Would I make the cut?
yeah.
You can just stand there and be silent.
Yeah, just you have great facial expressions and stuff like that. Like I started as I've been extra in a couple of films and everything, and I got more screen time sometimes just because of the facial reaction that I had to what was going on in the scene and everything.
As we close today's conversation, we're reminded that purpose is not accidental and calling is not optional. We've heard today, and it's proof that faith and excellence are not opposites. They are partners. Darnell's journey shows us that obedience often requires courage, and the ownership demands integrity, and that true success comes from aligning our work with God's will. This conversation isn't just for creatives and entrepreneurs. It's for everyone who believes that God can use their story to build something greater than themselves. May this discussion encourage you to commit your work to the Lord, trust His timing, and walk boldly in the vision that He has set up for you. Ephesians 2:10, for we are God's workmanship, created in Jesus Christ to do good works, which God has prepared in advance for each of us to do. Thank you, Darnell.
Thank you.